ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So this is a very beautiful verse which explains about what is the spiritual stage which Kardama Muni attained even while living in this material world. By practicing devotional service, we saw in the last class, he fixed his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahman, who is beyond cause and effect, who manifests the three modes of material nature, who is beyond those three modes, and who is perceived only through unfailing devotional service. So we see how Kardama Muni completely fixed his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How did he fix his mind? Eka bhaktya anubhavite. Completely, without fail, unflinching devotional service, undeviated devotional service, Eka Bhaktya, under the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada explains Eka Bhaktya, exclusive devotional service. That means mind not being put into anything else apart from devotional service, exclusively practicing devotional service. So what did he achieve? This is very important, very interesting to see how Kardama Muni was practicing devotional service. What is the effect of the devotional service he practiced? For all of us who are aspirant in devotional service, these are all very important desired results. If Kardama Muni could achieve all these results even while living in this world, why we cannot? If we are also serious like Kardama Muni, we should be able to get all these results. So what is that? Nirahankriti. Once one becomes self-realized, fixed in his mind at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, immediately his karma granthi is terminated, is finished. No more binding to this material world. Ahankara binds us to this material world. False identification is called ahankara. So self-realization means no more accepting this material body as the self. That is finished. Nirahankritihi. Then nirmamas. Automatically, when one realizes he has nothing to do with matter, he is part and parcel servant of the Supreme Lord, where is material affection? So, nirmamas means without material affection. So he becomes free from material affection. Then, nirdvandaha, dualities of the material world cannot touch him anymore. Ups and downs in life, these are called dualities. Summer, winter, material happiness, material distress cannot touch him. Just imagine what a state of existence one is living. No more material affection, no more trouble. One is not affected by ups and downs of life. What kind of state of life one is living? All ups and downs are there in life, but one is never affected by them. So, nirdvandaihi, samadrik, completely seeing from spiritual platform. Does not see somebody great, somebody lower. No. Everyone is part and parcel of the Lord. Samadrik. Swadrik. And he realizes not only the Supreme Lord, he realizes the self in relation with the Supreme Lord. Swadrik means seeing himself, Prabhupada translates. Then, Pratyak. Pratyak means he becomes introspective. Now we are outrospective, only looking outside. Isn't it? We are seeing things happening in the material world, we assign causes, this, that, all those things. Devotees are introspective in many ways. That also we will try to understand. What is the meaning of this introspective? Prabhupada very nicely defines what is introspective. Then, Pratyak Prashantadhi, mind becomes completely unagitated. Prashantadhi, sober, not disturbed. Dhiraha. So Dhiraha is sober. Then Prashanta Thormir Ivodadaihi. He becomes as good as like an ocean which is never disturbed. In ocean there are two types of disturbances. One, lot of water entering and lot of water going out. When there is inundation, when there is heavy rain, all the rivers become filled with water and they enter ocean. But ocean is still unagitated. So many rivers are flowing, it is not agitated. So much of water is evaporated during summer season to form clouds. Ocean still remains calm, peaceful, unagitated. So this is the state of consciousness Kardama Muni was able to achieve. Today's conversation is very interesting. Something very beautifully Prabhupada explains, which we may miss out if you don't hear attentively. See, the only qualification required to understand Prabhupada books is with interest we have to hear. Then automatically Prabhupada will give that understanding. We may not have intelligence to capture, but the understanding becomes very clear. if we hear attentively. That qualification is required from our side. In today's conversation, very beautiful explanation about mental platform Prabhupada used. Anyone remembers? Let me see if somebody remembers. What was it? Rai Krishna? Remember something? Prabhupada was commenting on Harava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahadguna Manorathena Asato Dhavato Vahi. So Prabhupada comments this. Manorathena Asato. He is simply hovering in the mental plane. He is not fixed up. If somebody is on the mental plane, not fixed up, which is called Manorathena, then Asato Dhavato Vahi. Result of that is he will always be on Asat platform, never be on Sat platform. If mind is not fixed, it will always be on Asat platform. He is not fixed up, therefore Asato Dhavato Bahi. Then he will have to do something which is Asat. Asatoma Sadgama. That is Vedic injunction. Don't remain in Asat. Make progress to Sat. That is wanted. So then Prabhupada is giving the conclusion. That cannot be done unless one is fully situated in unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. That is not possible. One must go to the Asat because he is hovering on the mental plane. Mental plane is not secure. Mental plane is not secure. Anyone who is in mental plane, he may fall down at any moment. So we have to transcend mental plane, intellectual plane. And Prabhupada is saying, it is what do we mean when we say mental plane, intellectual plane? Jnana karma adi anavritam. See how Prabhupada relates so nicely. If one is on mental plane, no question of being fixed up. Any moment one will fall down. That's how we find great yogis. Sometimes we think, how these yogis have been practicing for so many years. How do they fall down? Isn't so much of austerities they have done? So much of mental control they have done. Still, why do they fall down? Not secure. Mental plane is not secure at all. And where is Prabhupada deriving this definition? Mental plane is not secure. Manorathena asato dhavato bahi. If you are on mental plane, you are in asat. And you are only running on that direction. Only external. You see. So it is not a secure plane. Any moment we can fall down. So then Prabhupada explains, Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttamam. This is bhakti. Fully abiding by orders of Krishna, fully engaged. Fully engaged. That is devotion. Mind has to be fully engaged in the service of the Lord. In today's purport, Prabhupada is mentioning about how if the mind is fully in Krishna conscious, it is fully in Krishna consciousness, fully engaged, then one becomes like ocean, unagitated. This we'll try to see how it is possible. So we saw mental plane, it is not secure, you will fall down anytime. But if mind becomes fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, then it comes to the platform like an ocean, completely unagitated. Anything may happen, unagitated. How does this happen? So Prabhupada, we'll just see this. When one's mind is in full Krishna consciousness, fully engaged in rendering devotional service to the Lord, he becomes just like an ocean, unagitated by waves. So Prabhupada is saying, this is the example which is also given in Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada is saying, Bhagavad Gita says, unlimited water enters and unlimited water goes out of the ocean. But the ocean always remains unagitated. So, before coming to that shloka in Bhagavad Gita, there is one shloka before where Krishna explains about how one's intelligence and mind becomes purified. Very interesting. So Prabhupada explains in that purport, when one is purified by knowledge, he keeps himself in the mode of goodness. This is very, very important. Practical knowledge is more important than theory. Knowledge has to be applied. How it has to be applied? Prabhupada is saying that when we will become purified by knowledge, then what will happen? What will be our conduct? We will always try to keep ourselves in the mode of goodness. How? We'll rise up early, attend the programs, be in the association of devotees, avoid people who are materialistic, asat sanga tyaga. All these things will keep us in the mode of goodness. We may not be transcendentalist in the beginning, but with purified knowledge, we will learn how to keep ourselves in the mode of goodness. That is a place from where one can gradually become transcendental to even the mode of goodness. That's a platform from where one can jump to Shuddha Sattva. Then, thus one becomes the controller of mind and is always in trance because he is not attached to the objects of sense gratification. He does not eat more than what is required and he controls the activities of his body and mind. By keeping the mind in the mode of goodness, one can keep the mind cool without being agitated for sense gratification. Very important. That's what Prabhupada is saying, practically how to control the mind. Keep it in the mode of goodness. Then it will not be agitated with sense gratification. Then, because he is not attached to objects of sense gratification, so how to apply? Does not eat more than what he requires. Controls the activities of body and mind. No false ego because he does not accept the body as himself. So automatically nir-ahankriti as we are seeing. How he becomes nir-ahankriti? Because he does not identify himself with the body. He knows I am part and parcel of the Lord. Nor has he a desire to make the body fat and strong by accepting many material things. Comforts of life, the more we accept, the more we will grow fat. Materially, when one is very happy, then he becomes very fat. Prabhupada says that. Pig is materially very happy eating stool, and that's why you find they become very fat. He is not falsely proud. He is satisfied with everything that is offered to him by the grace of the Lord. So whatever comes, how is he satisfied? Whatever comes by the grace of the Lord, he is satisfied. Never angry in the absence of sense gratification. This is another important test. We should become angry only when devotees are, or the Lord is offended. Not in the absence of sense gratification. Moment our sense gratification is taken away, we become angry like anything. Isn't it? Material conception of life. Nor does he endeavor to acquire sense object, and he is not endeavoring for acquiring them. Thus, completely free from false ego, he becomes non-attached to all material things. As it is said here, nir ahankriti, and after that nirmama. Same thing actually we can see. Prabhupada is explaining. It's all one by one, everything comes. Free from false ego, he becomes non-attached to all material things. That is the stage of Brahman, Brahma Bhuta. When one becomes free from material conception of life, becomes peaceful, cannot be agitated. If you want to come to the stage where nothing can agitate your mind, then you have to come to the platform of Brahma Bhuta, not stay on mental platform and think that I will become peaceful one day. It is not possible. Isn't it? So in the next, Krishna says that Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labate param. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman, never laments nor desires to have anything, equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So in this purport also, something very wonderful Prabhupada explains. In the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, there is misery. This is very important. Now we are saying, devotee on Brahman platform is free from misery. Correct? Na sochati, na kankshati. He has no lamentation. So Prabhupada is explaining the reason why it is so. Material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, it is always accompanied by sukha and dukkha. There will be always so-called happiness and misery. In the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no misery. Devotee in Krishna consciousness has nothing to lament or desire. How? Prabhupada is giving the reason for this. Why devotee has nothing to lament, nothing to desire? Krishna is full. A living entity who is engaged in God's service, in Krishna consciousness, becomes full in himself. Krishna is full, and when we engage in his service, we also become full. He is just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. See? So what is his state now when he has become engaged in Krishna's service? He is like a river completely cleansed of all dirtiness. Because a pure devotee has no thought other than Krishna, naturally he is joyful. So that means if you have so many other thoughts, you cannot be joyful. Isn't it? Very simple. If your mind is diverted to so many things, you cannot be joyful. If your mind is only thinking about Krishna, You can be joyful in any condition of life. Anything may happen. You can be always joyful. He does not lament for any material loss or gain because he is full in service of the Lord. Because he finds nothing is there to lose. He is so full in Krishna consciousness, he has no loss. Where does he feel the loss? Anything is lost. Just like the ocean, the example is given. So much of water is evaporated. Ocean is not feeling the loss. And when so much of gain comes, still it is calm. So material loss, material gain, devotee is not affected. He is like the ocean. That is the meaning. No desire for material enjoyment because he knows that every living entity is fragmental part and parcel of the Lord and therefore eternally a servant. Why a devotee does not want to enjoy? He understands, I am a servant. My constitutional position is not to enjoy. That is how he sees other living entity, not that they are meant for my enjoyment. They are meant for Krishna's enjoyment. They are all part and parcel of Krishna. His property, not my property. My property I can enjoy. So when it does not belong to me, how I can enjoy? It's a false enjoyment. Isn't it? So that is why he does not enjoy. He does not see in the material world someone higher, someone lower. They are all ephemeral, external. Somebody is rich man, somebody is poor man, somebody is wise man, somebody is fool. Devotee has no such discrimination. He understands these are all external, acquired for some time. It will be lost after death. So nothing is great about all those things. So he does not become affected by all those things. You see? So very beautifully we can see how it is. One conversation I will read and then we will end. Very beautiful conversation. Prabhupada explains, comments on this. Apuryamanam achala pratistham. That verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is explaining about so many rivers entering and the ocean does not become agitated by that. So, Prabhupada, this human life is meant for restraining the senses. Tapaha. Suppose, see how beautifully Prabhupada explains. I am habituated to some kind of sense gratification. What is the meaning of tapasya? We have to understand very clearly. What do we say when we are saying we should perform tapasya? In devotees' understanding, tapasya means naturally the senses want to enjoy sense objects. Naturally. Young boy, when he sees a young girl, automatically we want to enjoy. It's natural for conditioned living entity. What is the meaning of tapasya? So Prabhupada is explaining. I am habituated to some type of sense gratification. Now I take to Krishna consciousness. My spiritual master or scripture says, don't do this. In the beginning, one may feel inconvenience, but if you can tolerate, that is tapasya. Simple. Just try to tolerate that little agitation which comes by seeing the sense object. Don't engage your senses in that sense object. Mind will be carried away. One sense, just one sense. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, even one uncontrolled sense, if you leave it, it will carry away the mind. So what should we do? Tolerate with intelligence. My spiritual master says, scriptures are saying, this is not good for me. So we have to learn to tolerate. This is called tapasya. This is the tapasya we have to follow. But if you can tolerate that, that is tapasya. Tapasya means I am feeling some inconvenience, but I am tolerating. And this human life is meant for tapasya. What will happen? Senses will become purified. Very simple. You are diseased. Doctor has told you, don't take oily item, don't take freezed item, let us say for example, and take medicine. Little tapasya you have to do. What will happen? You will become cured of your disease. Similarly, with this little tapasya, we will become purified in our senses. Because some result is required. Otherwise, you will think, why I should control? Why it is required? My senses are demanding something, let me. What is the profit you are going to gain? The profit will be your senses will become purified. And if your senses will become purified, one day you will come to the state where your mind will not be agitated. You will come to that point. It will not be agitated. It will become like an ocean. Thousands of rivers may enter. Thousands of desires may come in your mind. But you will not be agitated by them. You will not strive to satisfy those desires. That is the meaning. And then what will happen? Over a period of time, they will die away. The best method is to starve it. And of course, at the same time, give it something better. Only starving will not help it. Isn't it? Starve it from sense gratification and give it Krishna consciousness. That taste if we give, automatically no more desire you will have for sense gratification. When your mind is filled with desire to serve Krishna in varieties of ways, where Maya will be able to attack our mind in that direction. So, this is called tapasya. Not that because my senses are demanding this satisfaction, I shall immediately offer. This is what we do, isn't it? Prabhupada is saying, not that my senses are demanding, let me offer it immediately. No, I shall train myself in such a way that my senses may demand, my dear sir, give me this facility. I will say, no, you cannot have it. See? This is the training. This is the meaning of training. Senses will demand. It's all habituated from many, many lifetimes for sense object. So in this life at least we should think, let me perform little tapasya. Let my senses demand, I will say, no, I will not give it. That is important. This is called Goswami. At present moment, we have made our Swami the senses. Isn't it? Present moment, we are simply following the dictates of our Swami, the senses. Isn't it? That is the significance of Swami or Goswami. Not the dress. One who has controlling power, not dictated by the senses. One who is not the servant of the senses. My tongue is dictating, please take me to the restaurant, I want to eat steak. In America, that meat, sticks of meat which they eat, that is called steak, S-T-E-A-K. So Prabhupada is saying, what is the spelling? And the devotee is saying, S-T-E-A-K. So anyway, that fried chicken, yes, the tongue is dictating. But if you can control, no, I will give you sweet balls, don't go there. Isn't that is required? I will give you Krishna Prasadam, nice Krishna Prasadam. Why go to all these things? Not required. Then you will be master of senses. You see, the others are trying, don't go there. Only, that is impossible. Tongue must have something beautiful. Otherwise it is not possible, that is artificial. If the tongue you give him something more beautiful than fried chicken or stick, then it will stop. That is the policy. Our policy is take sesame fried with rice. How nice it is. He will forget meat eating. Isn't it? So much nice prasadam is available today. Dwadashi are all waiting for that. So then we will forget all kind of sense enjoyment. Isn't it? So this is called as Tat Paratvena Nirmalam. By engaging our senses in service of the Lord, automatically senses will become purified. And then it will be possible that mind will come under control. So we'll stop with this. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.